Hi, my friends. Welcome back to Peace and Plenty in 20. I'm your host, Janine Daramo, Midlife Transformational Coach, and this is the first episode of 2026. The irony is not lost on me that I went to the studio yesterday to film my first episode about choosing your word of the year. What's your word of the year? Do you have to choose a word of the year? How do you choose it? What if you can't think of one? Filmed a great episode. Got a message about 5 o'clock yesterday that it recorded. I was about to say it didn't record. That's not true. It did record. It's just it was the wrong camera angle. So that wouldn't have worked for YouTube. So took a few deep breaths. I responded much better than I have in the past. And part of the reason is what we're going to talk about today, which is why I'm now shifting to talk about that today. But I just said, you know what? I'm going to roll with it. And I'm going to film something impromptu tomorrow. And that's what y'all are going to get. And you're going to get a lot of that from me anyway in 2026, which is me truly embodying, as much as I preach, the idea of permission to be imperfect. It's really hard to do that when you've been living that way for a very long time, when that's been your patterning. Rewiring takes some time, but I am truly going to live into that in 2026, and I'm going to invite all of you to live into that with me. This idea of just allowing, releasing, trusting that whatever is meant to be will be, trusting the path that you're on, trusting yourself, trusting in a higher power. So let's get into it. Impromptu, off the cuff, first episode of the new year, 2026. I'm on my couch, in a blanket. Go grab yours, grab a cup of coffee, and let's just get real. Let's talk midlife truths, and let's support one another in this journey. So one of the first things that came up for me as I was thinking about talking about this today was this whole idea of doing things differently, right? And doing things differently because we're doing the same things and not getting the same results. It's like so we're in this new season, right? But we're using an outdated operating system. It's like we're still using old systems that don't apply to this new season of life. And there's so many areas of life that this can apply to. Just today, I'm in a text message with girlfriends talking about how bodies and weight and how people are doing the same things, but with perimenopause, it's either you're not able to lose weight or you're actually gaining weight. I've literally had this conversation with 3 different friends in the past 48 hours. So that's just one example. That's one physical example of how kind of our outdated systems and methods and actions that we're taking are not yielding the same results. And then we're getting frustrated. And the things that used to work for us, or the things that used to help us, are now actually causing frustration and burnout instead of relief or success. So I think it's very important that when you feel that like misalignment, right? When you feel either that something's off or something is not, or you know something is not working, like you have tangible evidence that it's not working. It's very important for us to take the time to sit with that and to have clarity around it and to recognize what's not working, and then have the time and the space to figure out what can I be doing instead? What can I be shifting to? How can I update my operating system? Some of these systems that we have like put in place for ourselves are kind of like subconscious things, meaning we do things to show that we are capable. We do things to show that we are responsible. We do things to be needed. And a lot of this is coming up as a mom. And we do things that show that we're good. We are good girls, right? But those things earn us approval, but they're not necessarily sustainable. And there are many of us in midlife who are trying to still use those old ways, like do more, try harder, push through, optimize. And the ironic thing is that is the opposite of what we need to be doing. We actually need to be doing less. We actually need to be slowing down. And I know that sounds ridiculous, especially to all of my high achievers, going to work, working from home, being a homemaker, having children, having pets, having friends, having family that you help care for, having aging parents. There is so much. So I know it probably sounds ridiculous to hear me say that we need to slow down, but I'm telling you, this is the truth that's been coming up for me the past 2 months. When was it? If you follow me, when was it? In November that I fell. It was before we went to Europe. And that was my big first wake up call. That was dude, you need to slow down because you're actually not helping anything. I actually was making things worse. And so this month in January, it's the start of a new year. I get excited about new beginnings, but I'm not letting myself get into that place of I'm going to hit the ground hard and running. I am hitting the ground intentionally. I am thinking about what I want and what I need to adjust and what I need to shift, but I'm giving myself the time and the space to let that clarity be there, to let the truth filter in. And I'm telling you guys, it's working. And this is not easy to do. This is so new and different for me and definitely feels uncomfortable. Anytime we're doing something new, it can feel very strange and it's hard to trust that. So I am really hyper focused on this month, not trying to control every outcome, not stressing when things don't go my way. And I'm telling you, I had a friend and a client reach out to me today because she knows that I'm doing this whole giving myself permission to just go with the flow. And this week, I'm telling you, I'm being tested, and not in a bad way. God is saying, here's your opportunity. Here's the gift that I'm giving you to try this out and show you that trusting in yourself and trusting in me, trusting in the universe, whatever the higher power is for you, works. I started the week excited, signed up for a class to go to, and I got there and the door was locked and there was no class. Okay, I had to pivot. Yesterday I went to film the podcast. I spent an hour there. I made notes. I did the work and then got that text that it didn't record, or it recorded, but not you know what I mean. Then I had a backup plan in place. I was going to actually do a live show today. I don't want to say too much because I think I'm still going to do it. I was scheduled to go somewhere and I was going to live stream it as the episode. And then that got canceled because everybody was sick. So I'm just continuing to roll with it. And because all that happened, actually, in terms of this episode, that's what brought me here talking about this. That's so important. And it actually gave me time today to finalize an in-person event that's going to be all about this. So it gave me the time today to finalize all that and to be able to share it with you now in this episode. So that's just one little example for myself in how, even though it's uncomfortable and it's no, I need a plan. And you do need a plan. I'm not saying don't plan, What I'm saying is, can you loosen the grip a little bit on the outcome? Can you trust that when it doesn't go exactly the way that you've set it up, or whatever, maybe if you're trying out something new, a new plan, a new system, you have expectations in your head, I implore you to not hang everything on those and kind of just experiment with what's to come or what's going to happen. Again, I know this is like a whole different way of being, but I truly believe that this is the way we can get unstuck. This is how we can get out of our own way, which oftentimes we are the ones that are getting in the way. So if this is resonating with you, if you feel like, you know what, I need a reset, I want to make time for the things that matter to me, I want to take care of me in a new way, I want to really hone in on my priorities and set some boundaries to protect my energy, I'm giving you this opportunity. I'm hosting an in-person event on Saturday, January 31st, here in Bergen County. I am releasing details within the next 24 hours. It's going to be a smaller group because it's going to be a true intimate experience where you can come and have the time and the space on a Saturday morning for a few hours with someone who can guide and support you, and with other women around you who totally understand what you're going through, and take some time to reset and say, what is it that I want? How am I going to get there this year? What do I want my 2026 to look like? How do I want to feel this year? So it's basically a chance to sit and embody whatever it is you're wanting for this new year. If you have a word, great. If you don't have a word, you don't need one. All you need to do is show up with a willingness to do things differently, and it could be in any area of life. It might be your health, your weight. It could have nothing to do with that. It might be your career or your vision about where you want to go. It could be working on your relationships, whether it's with a spouse or your children or your parents. It could be around finances. It could be around your own self-growth and like personally what you want to do more of, hobbies, your interests. We will cover it all. I always talk about the wheel of life, and that's something that we will be doing during this day, is kind of looking at what are the areas that your wheel is falling flat. And since we don't ever have the time to get still or slow down enough to focus on, okay, how do I want to fill these areas? That's what we're going to do. And you're going to leave feeling so incredible. So I am very thankful that even though I spent the time recording yesterday, that for some reason the wrong camera was on and I was meant to be here to talk to you today about this idea of, let's look at our operating system. Let's slow down instead of speeding up. Let's loosen our grip instead of squeezing harder. And maybe, just maybe, things will actually go a little smoother. Maybe things will fall into place. Maybe you can start trusting yourself, and that can actually become part of your new way of being. So keep an eye out. I'll put the link in here, either to the landing page if it's ready by this afternoon, or make sure you're on my email list, because it'll definitely come out in an email. And until then, slow down. Trust that whatever is meant to be will be. And no matter what happens in your day, in your week, in your month, in your life, you always have the permission to pivot. I'll see you next week. Peace.